Here we're looking at micro and macro prophecy. Both micro and macro prophets share a lot characteristics in their prophetic work that are obvious about the eye of the eagle or the eagle eyes. I've got 5 points to share with you about prophets that will pray with the eagle eyes. Stick with me to the end. Micro prophets, macro prophets. This is what I want you to know about it. As believers, as prophetic people, we are supposed to be able to see the bigger picture, see greater details. The macro prophets essentially see the bigger picture. The micro prophets essentially see the greater details, smaller details, depths, the connecting dots, the depth involved in individual prophecies. The macro prophets serve in a capacity of overseeing God's plans for the nations. Macro prophets don't necessarily go into details like volcanic eruption, a prediction or aircraft crash landing or a fire outbreak somewhere. How God reveals to them the details of his current program for the nations. But for micro prophets, they deal with micro prophecies, and here they deal with individualized details of the prophecy. The prophecy for you, prophesying into smaller details about your past, and then the line-by-line details about your present or your future. Microscopic prophecy. Isaiah was brought into the micro and the macro prophecy thing. He was both forensic when it comes to individual prophecy, detailing specifications, like he prophesied to the man Hezekiah when the guy was sick on death. He came to prophesy to him how that he was going to die originally, how that God had added 15 years to him, and then predicting how the sun was going to be, or shadow was going to be reversed with reference to 10 degrees, this micro prophecy. But when he spoke about how power was going to be shifting from one nation to another nation over time, this is macro. That prophets are not far from the angels in terms of picking messages from God, because there are certain informations that God will give to the angels that he in turn will give to the prophets. Yeah, because he would be sending both the prophet and the angel to do the same thing in such a way that the angel assists the prophet to execute that feat. Let us go back to the Bible. You remember that in the book of Exodus, chapter 19 and verse 4, God said, "You have seen how I brought you out of Egypt, out of the house of bondage, on eagle's wings." And if on eagle's wing, then the eagles on whose wings the Israelites were born and brought out also had in them the ability to see. Or you move into the Bible or book of Micah in chapter 6 and verse 4. There again, God said, making mention of the same statement, "I brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage." And he said, "I sent Moses and Aaron and Miriam before you," referring to the prophets as the eagles here. "I brought you out on eagle's wings." How? Micah told us that the eagle on whose wings he brought them out were Moses, Aaron, and Miriam. It's important for you to note what the eagle eye is like, because you are called to operate with the eagle eye and a witching atmosphere. Both the macro and the micro prophets, who in turn issue out micro and macro prophecies, have similarities in their operation or use of their spiritual senses or prophetic senses, particularly the ability to see. That's much like those of the abilities in the eagle. The first is the eagles see in two depths or from two depths. The ideal eagle, natural eagle, that the bird, have got two fovea in the eyes. The fovea is the place where the cones and rods were found. The human have got one fovea, anatomically, the eagle have got twofold view. These positions the eagle to be able to see in two dimensions at the same time with accuracy. In other words, I can focus just on a singular object and attempt to be able to view that object with clarity, provided it is within the range of my accessibility as a human being. Get this clearly before we talk about the spiritual aspect. The eagle can focus on two objects at the same time and get these objects to focus in your retinal plates with accuracy and be able to dissect vivid details about these two objects. So when God calls you into the prophet and unlocks your eyes, you stand the chance of being able to have bilateral or multilateral ability to bring prophetic objects, which may be prophetic cases, into focus at the same time and be able to interpret the informations so conveyed. Cast upon your mind where the spirit sits with the disc receptor for the prophetic revelation, physically speaking, images that comes as a result of the light that has been allowed into the eye. Yeah. So unlike the human eye where you have just 200,000 cones per millimeter square, the eagle have got over 1 million cones per millimeter square in the retina. That is of cones rather in the retina. So you see that the eagles are designed with a natural advantage to be able to see in greater depths. So the prophets are designed with a natural ability to see with greater depths. So this positions you to be able to see into my case and see into his case and see into her case at the same time. This is what makes microscopic prophets to be as dynamic as you see them. The same time they are prophesying to you about how that you were sick 3 days ago, they are seeing how that you entered into the wrong deal yesterday. As they are looking at how that you entered into the wrong deal yesterday and with who, and still browsing the name of the person involved, let's say Gabriel, and you entered into a wrong deal yesterday. At the same time, this microscopic prophet is looking at the food that you ate in the morning today, and is looking at what food? Chicken. And at the same time, they are able to take a snapshot of revelation and keep it there in their memory. You know what I'm saying? When I see 3 pictures at the same time and I'm able to snap them about you and I'm describing one, you see the visions are cut off. I'm going to describe the second and the third with absolute accuracy. The hallmark of the prophetic is to be accurate first. The next is for the anointing to follow. The next thing about an eagle is the ability to see with each eye in a 180-degree space, so that the ideal eagle is able to cover 360 degrees, which is not true for man in terms of visualization. You know how this corresponds with being forensic with prophecy. I don't have to be looking back to prophesy to somebody in a meeting that is behind me to be able to see their case. I may look back to tell you I'm talking to you, but when I'm looking into my front, I should be able to pick your prophecy behind me. That's what advantage prophets that are microscopic have. You get me? They are also able to pick prophecy from that side whilst they are looking this way. Your physical eyes serves as the gateway to the spiritual eyes, particularly when we're talking about the prophetic code of guessing as you stare at something. Number 3 thing about these prophets who have got the eagle eye is the eagle eye can detect ultraviolet light. So you see how microscopic or even beyond microscopic the eagle eye is. It can pick details that the physical human eye doesn't see at all. Even if you were here and there is ultraviolet radiation, you'll not be able to pick it. But the eagle is able to pick it and dissect it and tell us the colors that are here. For this reason, an eagle can, from a far distance, be able to dictate a squirrel with over 5 colors, or about 5 colors. And even if it's hiding in an environment like grasses where there should be a color blend, an eagle will still be able to pick. Because in the realm of the spirit, the prophetic can be very flawed. It is easier to prophesy with accuracy when you are good with isolation of distinct colors or resolution of distinct colors in the realm of the spirit. A prophet that is prophesying at a macro level, given that social prophet country, let's say United States economy is going to be rising up against the economy of other nations, God may give you the flags of several nations in the realm of the spirit. These flags are mixed up, are you getting me? And they can be blurred. But because you're seeing with an eagle eye, you are able to distinctly isolate the individual colors and then be able to see where each flag starts. That's prophecy at macro level, yet microscopic in terms of selection of the color. What is micro about this prophecy that the macro prophet may not be able to go into will be that he is not able to tell us by what fraction in terms of currency variation the economy will rise. And that brings us to the point of the need for collaboration at times. Because if he is only a macro and I am micro, when he's able to pick which country, I should be able to pick by what range the increase in economy is going to be. You get that? But if I'm both macro and macro, I should be able to first of all pick by macro, locate the country, then by micro, pick the fraction by which or with which this currency is going to jump over the other currency. Remember that you have to have active revelational approach to engage in your physical eyes. These precedes your ability to do well with your spiritual eyes. The fourth point I want to give to you about how eagles operate is that they are able to see 5 to 8 times more than humans. That's what a prophet simply is. So there's something that separates between the prophetic and the average person. This talks about being able to see the greater picture, the future, before anyone else does. Because people have to come close. Let's say if you are in 2023, you're able to see into 2030 with clarity. But for some other persons, they have to come into 2029 before they start having a kind of feeling of what 2030 would look like. But for the prophetic folk, whatever is going to happen between 2023 and 2030, it's very much possible they're able to look through the entire years where the economy is going up, coming down, where there will be natural disasters, where there will be new kings or new presidents or rising economy and all of this. They are able to pick it ahead of time. They're also able to, at a microscopic level, pick your own prophecy and x-ray about everything about your future. These also help prophetic folks themselves to be able to watch their ministry from the beginning before takeoff of some projects or some new or big moves. They're able to predict which direction they're going. As number 5 here, feature of the eagle eye, the ability to see color and then resolution. Any stem up or little move or smart move in the realm of the spirit, people with the eagle eyes, they're able to detect it and tell us the message it contains. Listen to me. There are times when prophets are watchdogs. They are not just God's spokesmen. They are watchdogs. What do I mean? They're able to dictate things in the realm of the spirit. This is not like God is telling them, son or daughter, this is about to happen. No. Something is making a move in the realm of the spirit. Demons are taking action in a particular place. They're about to manipulate something. They are able to, prophetic people that prophesy at macro level with the eagle eye are able to dictate movements. They see it. They don't need to be told by God first. They just see what is happening in the realm of the spirit. Well, Nebuchadnezzar had a dream and he said, this is the decision of the watchers, and it is the message of the holy ones. Can you see that? He came to a point where he was able to catch the decision of the watchers and the message of the holy ones. Nebuchadnezzar, before Daniel interpreted it to him. Now, That decision of the watchers and the message of the Holy Ones came to pass in that Nebuchadnezzar was driven into the bush to eat grass as the decision of the watchers said. But he only happened to catch it. It was not like Nebuchadnezzar, this is what I'm going to do to you. He saw it that day. And Daniel also saw it and interpreted it when he was called upon. So prophets are able to interact with the spirit realm, the unseen realm, by way of being there to participate or observe and tell us in the physical realm what's going on there. Because what's going on there literally is what manifests here. As they say it happens here. At such point, you are called the great prophet. This color resolution helps us to be able to pick even organs in people's wombs, you get me, or in people's stomach, like the liver is affected, the pancreas is affected, it's the duodenum, it's the rectum, yeah, there's a patch of cancer so place. This color resolution helps prophetic people to be able to do this, and this is because they have a resemblance when it comes to engaging their prophetic eye, like the eagle. Remember now that you are informed, these secrets will keep you flying like the eagles that Moses and Father, I decree and I declare in your name an open atmosphere for this person to manifest in the prophetic like they've never done. In Jesus' name.